Have you ever found yourself saying, I'll finally be at peace when? When I get that promotion, or when I meet the right person, or when I hit that magic number in my bank account. Well, today we're going to tear that whole idea apart. We're going on a journey from chasing peace as some far-off destination, and we're going to ask a really big question. What if we've been looking in the completely wrong place all along?
This really captures a belief that so many of us have, right? That peace isn't just something you can have. Nope. It's a reward. It's the prize you get after you've struggled enough, the big exhale you're finally allowed to take after you've proven you're worthy. But what if that whole way of thinking is just fundamentally wrong? All right, so let's get into this first part of the journey, chasing a ghost. What does that misguided hunt for happiness and peace actually feel like day to day? It's this idea of constantly hunting for something you can never quite get your hands on. So if you look at the old definition, it was all about things on the outside. Peace was a place you arrived at. It was having enough money to not worry. It was a life with no problems. It was proof that you'd made it. And on paper, that all sounds pretty logical, doesn't it? If I get all this stuff, I should feel at peace. But as we're about to see, there's a huge flaw in that logic. And look, from the outside, the plans seem to be working perfectly. You're moving up the ladder, your resume looks better and better, the job titles get fancier. Okay, box 1, checked. Then, of course, there's the money. The numbers are going up, and the thinking is pretty simple. More money means more security, and more security must mean more peace. So let's check that box too. And finally, maybe the biggest one of all, social validation. That feeling of looking successful to everyone else. That gets a big, fat check mark. So from the outside, the picture is absolutely perfect. You've won. But, and this is the entire point, despite all those boxes being checked, the internal reality was the complete opposite. It was just chaos, a constant buzzing anxiety, a voice that's always asking, okay, what's next? That would never, ever shut up. Now this is what's called the achievement trap, and it breaks the problem down perfectly. Just think about it. You work for months to close that huge deal, the one you promised yourself would finally be it. And for a day, maybe 2, you feel incredible. You're on top of the world. And then, poof, it's gone. The feeling just evaporates, and that old familiar emptiness rushes right back in. And this quote just nails it. It shows how pointless the whole game is, because as soon as you hit one target, your brain just sets a new one, even further away. The finish line you were sprinting towards, it just moved. You never actually get to cross it. But you can't keep up a chase like that forever. It's just not sustainable. Eventually, something has to give. You hit the breaking point. And it's not some big, dramatic Hollywood explosion. It's something much, much quieter. And this is what's so powerful. It's how ordinary it is. It wasn't some huge crisis that forced this big change. It was just a moment of stillness. A random Tuesday, sitting in a room surrounded by all the prizes from all that hard work, and realizing you feel nothing, just a profound sense of emptiness. And in that quiet, empty moment, this is the raw, brutally honest question that just surfaces from nowhere. All the stress, all the sacrifice, all the striving, for this? For this feeling of nothing? It's just a devastatingly simple and powerful realization.
And here's the even deeper truth that comes out of that. The addiction wasn't really to success. It was an addiction to the chase, the constant motion, the next goal, the next project. It was all just a really elaborate way to avoid being still, to avoid silence, and to avoid having to actually face yourself. And right there, out of that terrible, empty feeling, comes the one question that changes absolutely everything. It just flips the entire script. The search suddenly shifts from the outside world to the inside world. What if peace isn't some treasure you have to go out and find? What if it's something that's already here, and you just have to allow it? And that one little question, it opens the door to a completely new way of living. It's a massive paradigm shift. It's no longer about trying to find peace somewhere in the future. It's about uncovering the peace that was buried under all the noise this whole time. For years, the whole approach was basically to fight a war against the feeling that you're not enough, a war to prove your worth and to try and force life to be perfect.
But the real breakthrough is realizing you don't find peace by winning that internal war. You find it by calling a ceasefire. You find it by simply stopping the fight against yourself and whatever is happening in your life. So here it is, the crucial point. Peace is not an addition. It's not something you get. It's what's already there, underneath all the layers of resistance and judgment and striving. It's like your factory default setting, you know? It's what you return to when you stop arguing with the present moment. So let's just look at these two definitions side by side because the difference is huge. The old way, it's incredibly fragile. The second a challenge pops up, bam, your peace is gone. But the new way, it's resilient. It doesn't depend on perfect conditions. It's all about your relationship with the conditions. It's about accepting what is, even when it's really, really hard.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in real life? How do you do it? Well, that brings us to our final section, understanding that peace is actually a choice. It's a practice you can do every single day. And the practice itself is beautifully simple. First, you just have to consciously decide to step off the treadmill, stop the relentless chase. Then, step 2, you just start noticing. Noticing what's actually here, right now. Your breath, the feeling of the chair you're sitting in, the sounds around you. And finally, step 3, you actively choose acceptance. Not resignation, you're not giving up, but just a simple okay to what is. And when you practice this, it changes everything. Seriously. You still have goals, but now you're pursuing them from a place of feeling full, not from a desperate need to fill a hole inside you. You actually taste your coffee instead of just chugging it to get to the next thing. You start to trust the process, even when it gets uncomfortable. And maybe most important of all, you operate from this core belief that you are already enough, right now, just as you are. I absolutely love this final reframing. Peace isn't the trophy you get at the finish line. Peace is the starting block. It's the stable, solid ground that you can build a meaningful life on, a foundation that lets you handle whatever comes your way with a sense of calm that was never possible when you were chasing a ghost. Is peace something we have to chase, or is it something we just need to allow? Wow. I mean, this sentence right here, it just gets to the absolute heart of the problem, doesn't it? Just imagine it for a second. You get everything you ever wanted. You finally cross that finish line you've been sprinting towards your whole life. And there's nothing there. It's a surprisingly common feeling, even if it's not something we talk about a lot. So let's talk about that chase, because, we're kind of taught from day one that peace is a destination. It's the prize you get after you check all the right boxes. It's supposed to be the reward for all your hard work, all the struggle, and that relentless pursuit of more. And this, right here, this just shows the huge gap between what we're promised and what actually happens. The promise is incredible, right? Financial freedom, no more problems, smooth sailing. But the reality, for the person who wrote this, and for so many of us, it's just constant internal chaos. It's that nonstop anxious buzz in your head of, okay, what's next? And that, right there, is the core of the trap. It's so simple, but so effective. The second you tie your peace to an achievement, you've basically signed up for a race that never, ever ends. You hit one goal and your brain just immediately moves the finish line. That promise piece is always just over the next hill, always just out of reach. So all this constant chasing, it eventually leads to a moment of crisis. And that brings us to this next idea, what we're calling the emptiness of arrival. It's that exact moment you finally get the thing you wanted, and you realize the feeling you were actually searching for just isn't there. I mean, think about this for a second. You've just closed a massive deal. The kind of win you told yourself would change everything. And for a minute, maybe it does. You get that rush. But then, just like that familiar hollow feeling just creeps right back in. The external win just couldn't fix the internal state. And this is where a key insight comes in. A life that's built on getting a thumbs out from the outside world, on climbing a ladder you think you're supposed to climb, well, it doesn't feel like freedom. It actually starts to feel like a huge weight on your shoulders. It's not fulfilling. It's just heavy. This feeling of emptiness, of being weighed down, it leads to a breaking point. But it wasn't some big, dramatic movie scene moment. It was actually a quiet, internal realization that sparked a single, absolutely transformative question. And this was it. It all came down to this. What if peace isn't something I achieve? Just let that sit for a second. That one question changes the entire game. It challenges this fundamental belief that peace is out there somewhere.
What if this whole chase we're on is based on a completely false idea? And that leads to this follow-up, which is where the real work begins. The focus completely shifts. It moves away from the outside stuff, more money, more success, more likes, and it turns inward. It's this idea that maybe peace isn't something we find at all, but something we uncover right inside ourselves.
Okay, so this shift from looking outside to looking inside, well, it leads to an entirely new way of understanding what peace actually is. And here's the twist. It's not about adding something to your life. It's about letting something go.
And here it is, the new definition. It's so simple, but it is so profound. Peace isn't about creating these perfect, flawless conditions in your life. It's what's already here, right now, just buried underneath all of our struggling and our fighting with the present moment. Let's just sit with that one more time because it's so important. It's not about winning a war with reality. It's about ending the war. It's about letting reality be what it is and then finding your calm right there, smack in the middle of all of it. So when you boil it all down, it's just a shift from fighting to allowing. The old way is that constant battle. I'm not enough yet, or this situation isn't right. The new way is acceptance. And that doesn't mean you're giving up. It just means a simple acknowledgement. This is what's true right now, and that's okay. Now, this is a really powerful idea, but let's be honest. How do we actually live it? That's what this final section is all about, peace as a practice. This isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. It's about shifting this from a big, abstract idea into a daily, moment-to-moment choice. And the practice really comes down to a few key mental shifts. It means letting go of the need for everything to be perfect. It means learning to actually sit with discomfort for a minute instead of immediately running from it. It's about understanding that your self-worth has nothing to do with winning or losing. And maybe most importantly, it's about choosing to be present, right here, rather than always chasing what's next. And this right here might be the biggest takeaway of all. Peace isn't the trophy you get at the very end of the game. It's the foundation you build your life on. You don't achieve your goals to get peace. You find peace first, and then you go after your goals from a place of fullness, not a place of lack. And that changes everything.